Little Sunday Funday coming up for LAFC. Hello and welcome. This is LAFC Plus, episode 52. We're a year old, although we've been doing this for longer than a year, Mario. Took some time off in the offseason, but we've hit an official year of 52 episodes. And good to talk to you, brother. Always good to be with you.
Yeah, good to talk to you too, Dave. I'm feeling recovered, rejuvenated after my staycation here in Malibu. We had a
I didn't know
choice
if you
to,
wanted
to
to talk
pick.
about this. I put it on the rundown. I should have asked you first.
Yeah,
Are
of
you comfortable
course.
talking about it? Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Anything that happens to me, we'll throw it all out there on the podcast. It's all
There you
good.
go.
It's everybody's close friends of ours. So we just let them all know about our lives, personal lives, and everything that's going on with us, LAFC and everything else. So, yeah, we were in Malibu for a few days, and with our hectic schedule at LAFC, it's hard to kind of to take a full like destination vacation somewhere far
Yeah.
away, hop on a plane. We just can't do that. So we just hopped on the freeway, went over to Malibu, and it was cool to be there and just support the local area because they're still hurting. You know what I mean? They're
Oh,
still
yeah.
hurting from the wildfires,
Absolutely.
still trying to recover. So it was cool to just get out there and meet some of the business owners and the workers there, and we spent a good dinner at this place called V's Restaurant and
Ooh,
Bar.
nice.
Italian food. It was amazing food and amazing hospitality there from the workers, and just talking to them about everything that's been going on. And when you're on PCH, it's like there's a bunch of construction cars going back and forth.
Yeah,
With
absolutely.
all the recovery and the reconstruction that's going on. So it's kind of sad to see that on PCH, and half of PCH is like cut off at a certain point, so you can't
Yeah.
get through. It's tough, but we also talked a lot of soccer too with a lot of the workers there at V's restaurant, which is cool. The owner there, matter of fact, he's been to a bunch of LAFC games because he's close with the folks over at Kaiser Permanente,
Oh,
who are
sure.
big sponsors of LAFC. So he's been to plenty of games and he knows all about the players and stuff. So yeah, we had some good conversations.
I nearly found myself on the Kaiser Permanente availability report. We're still working on that. Little injury. If you're
That's
wondering about the
right.
background, I'm not usually in my living room doing this show. Little injury. I'll be fine. Nothing, life threatening or anything like that. Just sitting here a lot of the day reading my new LA magazine. Just got the Los
Nice.
Angeles magazine. So yeah, I'm gonna
Good
read
read.
that. Been reading
Hmm.
it actually. Yeah, not done, but so I got to tell you, when I was a kid, sometimes some of the best vacations we had were staycations. Honestly, that I remember.
Yeah.
Now we had some big vacations occasionally. My parents would do more staycations and then try to like save up for a big vacation like every 10 years or something. Like it wasn't like we went
Yeah.
very often. We did some big stuff, but rarely. And then
So my
do a lot of
staycation
staycations.
started off with a phone call from you. I'm driving through the canyons, right, trying to get to Malibu, and it starts off with a phone call from you talking about your injury, and I'm like, "Oh man, are you serious?"
Sorry. Yeah,
Oh, so
sorry, I'm ruining your vacation there. Sorry.
it's okay, man. It's okay. I always got
We'll
time for
work
you,
through
Dave.
it.
No worries.
Well, look, we're burying the lead here, certainly. We got a lot to
Yeah.
get to, including some new signings, which we're very excited about. But
Yeah.
we didn't talk about this, obviously. The last podcast we did, it was the next day that Steve Cherundolo with the club announced his decision to leave the club at the end of the season. So, yeah,
Mhm.
it's been several days. I know the news cycle nowadays, Mario, everybody moves on to the next thing in 24 to 48 hours at most, but we certainly want to talk about this. This is big news. It happened just after we did the show, essentially a day after. So here's my thoughts. Look, it's a family decision. We know that. That's what Steve had mentioned, right?
Mhm.
You know, again, I tweeted this out. I'm like personally selfishly mad, but you can't be anything but happy for him if he's making
Right.
the right decision for his family, which he
Mhm.
thinks he is, of course, and his family has agreed. So then it's the right decision. So
Mhm.
we love him and we wish him nothing but the best. We're gonna miss him, and but again, family. He made the right decision for his family, and that's what you do. You shake his hand and pat him on the back and wish him nothing but the best. So
Yeah,
that's
there's
how I
no
feel about it.
nothing more important than family. I'm right there with you, Dave. It's family over everything for me, as you know very well. And LAFC is the same way. They've always made it seem like it's family first at LAFC with the players and their kids and their spouses and everything. So you can't be mad at Steve for making this decision.
No,
If it's in the best interest of his family, if it's in the best interest of your family, If you like that, I love it. I love it. It's all good. I'm happy for you. How can you argue with that? But
Totally.
now the question is, how does this decision affect players, and how does it affect the club going forward?
Mm.
That's the question. And for
Yeah.
me, this is something that, I think other clubs in MLS right now would kind of be like, oh no, this is shaky times. But for me, I don't have that feeling with LAFC right now. I don't get that feeling at LAFC. They just
No.
played their guts out in Portland. They just played their guts out to a 3-3 wild match against the Timbers. Cherundolo, he was energetic. He was full of passion. 2 yellow cards resulting in a red card. So the energy, the passion is there. LAFC is just 3 points away from second place. I mean, it doesn't feel like they're in shambles or it's a problem
No.
right now.
No, I agree. And I think one of the key things is it gives John Thornton more time to consider the replacement, right? So honestly, Steve is doing the club a favor by telling him now, because if he were to wait till the end of the season, which that's his right, or, I mean, it's life. He might have done that if he wanted more time to think about it, or if he needed more time to think about it with his family. But let's say he does. Let's say he leaves at the end of the season. Now, we hope that's MLS Cup, so that would be December, early December, right? Let's presume that. Let's go crazy and presume we won the Cup. Day after, Steve Cherundolo says, you know what, we're moving back to Germany. We made up our minds. We're going to move back. Now, you've already had several potential candidates who've already grabbed jobs in June, July, August, and not to say that obviously there wouldn't be some tremendous candidates. I'm sure John Thornton always has a list going. That's just what a good GM does, right? You always have some people that you're thinking about for the future, potentially, down the line. Now that timetable's been moved up a lot more than probably Thornton thought it would be. But
Yeah.
John is ready for that, but it gives him more time to consider his replacement. And it gives other people who may want the job or thought they don't have to rush to take a job, if that makes sense, right? Now, our job will not be open until December or January, whatever the contract is. But, somebody can wait potentially too if they want. If somebody's really out there that really wants this gig and it's a good fit and John thinks it's a good fit and the personnel staff or whatever, the whole club, guy can wait, right? Candidate can wait for a few months, and I think it just adds some layers to this now where I think Steve's actually doing a favor to the club. And certainly I'm sure it's helpful to his family. Look, it takes a while to move across the country, let alone across continents. So they're going to need to, I get it, no question. So it's good for everybody though. And, maybe, some people might not look at it right away like that because you're disappointed and everything. Of course, you don't want them to go. And I get that. But, I think this is a better alternative in a sense. I really do. Now,
I think after you get the over the initial reaction, right away of the shock or whatever, after you get over that, I kind of feel like it fires everybody up. It fires up the players. It fires up Steve to say, hey, let's go out with a bang. How killer would that be to raise the MLS Cup trophy as your last game coaching here at LAFC? That'd be a killer way to go out on top, or to win a Leagues Cup trophy. Just to show everybody how professional you are, to show everybody how much of a winner Steve really is, to stick to it and to be a professional and finish the job all the way to the end.
Or dare I say, win the Club World Cup. I'm just kidding. Come on. I'm not,
that might get sprinkled in there too. You never know. It's still hectic. There's still a lot of work to do. I don't know about winning the whole thing, but just that might be a realistic, tournament that they might be a part of. We don't know anything yet. But there's still so much, so much to play for. You can't just dwell on this. John Thornton is not going to sit here and just, wait. He wants to win now. These players, they can't just sit here and just wait till the end of the season just because coach is leaving at the end. They need to play for their jobs as well. They want to win now. So everybody's playing for their jobs.
I kind of almost think it was better. I kind of like that he announced it publicly, actually, too, this early, rather than just telling the club even. Right. Yeah. So maybe the club knew all along. I think that can be more awkward in a sense of, like you were talking about. Now it's out there. This is a celebration now. Let's go. Let's just play joyfully for the rest of 2025. Let's play for Steve Cherundolo and his staff. We don't know the future, of course, with all that, but let's just play for Steve. And he's made up his mind. It's a family decision. Good on him. Let's go, win this one. Let's go win a couple trophies, as Mario's alluded to. Certainly, let's go out with a bang and make it a celebration the whole season long, and let's just
Steve
start
was
picking
so
up
happy
momentum.
after that match in Portland. He was right after that match. He was talking about he couldn't be more proud of his guys, and that's on the heels of the announcement. So that just goes to show you that it's not really affecting the team in any sort of
I
negative way
agree.
at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we won't see Steve coming up, unfortunately, on the sideline on Sunday because he got what Phil Neville even thought, and I'm paraphrasing, was a ridiculous red card to
Yeah.
his counterpart there, Steve Cherundolo. So he will miss this Sunday's game. That's coming up on the 27th here. We play host to St. Louis City. Going to be a couple of new players in the black and gold before we even get to that match, Mario.
Yeah.
Hey, a couple of guys that, always intrigued me. Frankie Amaya and Ryan Raposo adding some midfield depth. Certainly seasoned MLS veterans. Both have nearly 130, right around 130 appearances in MLS over their careers. Amaya with a couple of clubs, then he's off at Toluca, coming back on loan. Raposo, I think, was out and about. He was with mostly Vancouver. Certainly we know him from the Whitecaps.
Yep.
I like these moves. This is good depth, Mario.
Mm-hmm.
These are guys who know MLS. They know what it takes to
Yep.
play in MLS. I think these are good moves before the trade deadline here.
Yeah, both of them have a lot of MLS experience, and the thing about Frankie Amaya, he's such a SoCal dude. I love that. He went to a great college, great soccer college in UCLA. Grew up in Santa Ana. Played for a club called Pateadores here in SoCal. That's very well known, in the youth club system. So he's got to be pumped to be playing here in his home, SoCal, and to be joining a squad that's stacked like LAFC with World Cup winners and guys like, Hugo Lloris and
Yeah.
Olivier Giroud, coming to a team like that, gaining that experience, that knowledge from guys like that, and playing alongside Denis Bouanga has got to be a really cool thing for him to look forward to. And he's doing it right here where he grew up in Southern California. So that's something exciting to see. And then Ryan Raposo, he's a guy that he knows LAFC very well because we only played them about 1 million times in the past couple of years. So he knows LAFC very
It's
well.
true.
And then he's played under LAFC's current, assistant coach, Mark Dos Santos.
Yep.
He played under him over in Vancouver when Mark was the head coach in Vancouver. So I think Ryan is a great addition, adding some depth, some versatility. So it's going to be good. I like these two additions.
Yeah, maybe a more important reason why we signed him is Mark knows him rather than he knows us. So you're right. I mean, our staff knows him. Our club knows Raposo. Ryan is a little more of a serviceable kind of do everything in the midfield. Frankie, a little bit more of a straight attacker, creator, kind of different roles. These guys are not the same player by any means in terms of what they can do on the pitch. But yeah, they both add something. Again, they add depth. We don't need two of the same. Obviously, we need depth in the midfield. And certainly these guys will, they know what goes on in MLS. They know how to handle their business in MLS. And I like these moves, no doubt about it. And look, these are the moves you make in this window, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, why can't you bring in the biggest name and why can't we bring in the biggest name in club football? This isn't the window for that, really. I mean, it's possible, I guess, but you still have the window coming up in the summer. This isn't the end all be all in terms of, finishing the roster necessarily, stuff like that. So these are good moves this time because you still have a lot of games. By the time you get that summer window, Mario, as we know, by the time that summer window ends, you only have like a couple of handfuls of games left. It's not even, like most of the season is gone by then. So now you still got 25 regular season games left here going into this matchup coming up on Sunday. So yeah, you got time to kind of incorporate these guys for that depth with the Leagues Cup coming up, with maybe a Club World Cup. Even if it's not the Club World Cup, you're going to have to shift your schedule a little bit. If you have to play Club America, potentially, there might be some schedule changes. So that'll push games, even if you don't make it and you somehow lose the Club America in that game or whatever, if it even goes on. Of course, we know it's all ifs and buts. But that will back up the schedule for, potentially.
Yeah.
I think these are smart moves because we could see a lot of games coming down the stretch here if some things are changed. If we get to the Club World Cup, holy cow, we're going to have a lot of rearranging and organizing, and all that. My goodness, we're going to have plenty of minutes to go around in a jam-packed time and schedule. So I think these are great moves.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And with this big game on Sunday coming up, it's
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's an important game. And it's an important game because Denis and Giroud are coming off goals. And I think those two, if they can get a goal, if they can get going, keep this going, keep this streak going of goals and to get on a roll here, I think that could be huge for either one or for both at the same time. And if both of those players, Denis and Giroud, can get a streak going, oh, that can be beautiful things for LAFC and could be very, very bad things for St. Louis, even though
Yeah.
St. Louis has a tremendous defense back line. But yeah, that's this matchup. It really, really intrigues me this Sunday at BMO Stadium at home.
Yeah, certainly. St. Louis more talented than their record. They're struggling a little bit in terms of getting
Yeah.
results right now. I think that'll change. New manager, still getting associated with, getting used to things. There's a podcast, an LAFC podcast, Happy Foot, Sad Foot. I think most of us know those guys.
Hmm.
They always ask, like, are we back? Like, that's their kind of
Hmm.
fun question. Is Olivier Giroud, back with one goal? But what a goal it was. Is the offense
Yeah.
back? Are they on track? Like, it is a question to
Mhm.
ask, though. Are they on track now offensively? Was that just kind of a game where things like that happen, or is this something maybe we build upon here offensively?
Yeah, we got to see it happen a couple times in a row here. We got to see a little bit of a streak going, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I think this game is so big in my eyes. I want to see Giroud continue this to keep it going. I want to see Denis go on one of those runs like we know he's been on. That's what I
Yeah,
want to see. And it's going to be tough because that St. Louis defense is very, very tough.
yeah, agreed. Well, 2 in a row now for Denis, obviously. So
Yep.
that's a streak. 1 in a row is not a streak. 2 in a row, here we go. Like, let's see if that
Yes.
continues. Mario mentioned how talented St. Louis are. He's not wrong. They are struggling to click on offense. They're great defensively. Now, is that more of a product of how they're playing? No, I don't think so, actually. They have not finished. They've gotten chances in some games. In fact, some games have gotten a lot of chances. Marcel Hartl, Cedric Teuchert, Edward Leuven. We know the connections there with the German, football, to Bundesliga, and boy, they all came in and really, they've done well offensively. Certainly, they can create, but they've only scored 5 goals,
Yeah.
but they've only allowed 6. Right, so you got all these games, 9 games, whatever, 11 goals total. Like, wow. I mean, we thought we were having some times when it was 1-0 a lot or what, like, but holy cow,
Yeah,
they
St.
are.
Louis only one goal in the last 5 games.
Yeah,
Five
yeah,
games. How you go 5 games with only scoring one goal? They haven't won a match in the last 5 games. But
yeah,
to their credit, Dave, they've had a lot of injuries, including their goalkeeper, one of the top goalkeepers in the entire league, Roman Berkey. He's been hurt. Edward Lubin, he was out last week too. So they are talented. It's just a matter of, when are they going to get it going? Hopefully not this Sunday against
I was going to
LAFC.
say, and I agree. Hopefully not at BMO, of course, coming up in a few days, Sunday,
Hmm.
April 27th. Um, here's my thought on that. Because of where St. Louis is at, and because of who we are at BMO, this
Yeah.
is a must-win game at home, right? You get above
Yeah.
500. You had a good performance in Portland. Not the greatest defensive performance we've ever had, certainly not this season, but those things happen. You battled back. You did well, and you
Hmm.
had a good performance. So you got to build on that. And if you're coming right home to play a team that's struggling, you got to put the foot down on them, and just let's get one of these. I mean, easier said than done, I know, especially with their defense, St. Louis. I want one of these 5-0s coming up, 4-0, like, let's see one of these matches where first minute through 90, you're done. You have no chance. That's what I think, Mario, we used to talk about, all through our history in a lot of ways. I think teams were already intimidated coming into BMO. Not that
Yeah.
they're having their way with BMO Stadium by any means. We're still very good at home, right?
Hmm.
But it's also like there were times throughout all 7 previous seasons at times where the game was over before it kicked off at BMO.
Yeah.
Done. Like, you couldn't. And I think we'll get back to that. I think this will be a good time. This will be a good game, I think, where you could see dominance here this week for the black and gold.
Now, St. Louis, they're going to be definitely They're going to be leaning heavily on their defense for this one here Sunday at BMO Stadium.
Yep.
But if LAFC can penetrate that, I mean, with guys like Boanga, like we say, it's getting hot. David Martinez, so many weapons. Nathan Ordaz, Olivier linking up with some of these guys.
Yeah.
Things can get very ugly for St. Louis in this one. But also, Dave, this Sunday is going to be a special day at BMO Stadium. It's going to be something unique because it's Kids Day at BMO Stadium.
I did
So
not know that,
variety.
actually. Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a variety of kids are gonna be doing a bunch of different roles at the stadium. There's gonna be like a kid DJ. There's gonna be the public address announcer. A kid
Nice.
anthem singer as well. And then for me, it's gonna be super special because so I'm gonna have Gio with me, my son. I'm gonna have my son Gio with me all day, and he's actually gonna walk out on the pitch with me when the final whistle blows, and I'm gonna go and do the interview with
Nice.
whoever the key player is or players
Love
are,
it.
and I'm gonna do the interview, and then Gio's actually gonna get the final question, Dave. He's gonna get
Wow.
the
I love
final
it.
question. Yeah, we're gonna get content of that and everything. So LAFC, we're all gonna put that out and everything. So it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be a special day for me, and just special day for all the families out there and everybody that has kids and brings their kids to the stadium that day. So something to
Absolutely.
really look forward to.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it on the show, but one of the highlights, obviously winning the cup and everything, you'd think that one of the highlights was when my daughter walked out with Ilya Sanchez, the pregame,
Mm.
like those are the kind of things that bond a family and a club together, no doubt about it. So I
It's
love that.
such
I love
a
that Gio's doing that. It's going to be so cool.
We've talked a lot about family already on this podcast, and like we say, Cherundolo, he's doing it for his family reasons, and that's what the club is about. It's no joke. We're not just. It's no hyperbole. This is
Nope.
real. This is what the club is about. It's family, and that's what I love. I love that
Yep.
about LAFC. I love that about the black and gold.
Totally agree. Look forward to it coming up on Sunday. Airtime 3:30 Pacific, by the way, on ESPN LA app. Kickoff and all the action is also on 710 ESPN after the Lakers. Probably
Yep.
be pretty close to kickoff, honestly, in terms of when the Lakers postseason match or game ends on 710. We'll go right into
Go purple and
LAFC.
gold. Go black and gold. Go
Well,
both.
amen. But you know how the NBA playoff games can get, though. They sometimes
Yeah.
last a lot longer than the regular season. So we'll see how it goes. But always can
Mhm.
find it on the ESPN LA app and
Oh
then
yeah.
on 710 ESPN right around kickoff. We think so. 3:30, a little different kickoff here on a Sunday. We're like the show
Mhm.
on Sunday in MLS. 4 o'clock kickoff. Mario, speaking of MLS, the plus time here. We like to look at not just LAFC but around the rest of Major League Soccer games we want to watch and why. Your choices for this weekend.
Yeah, you had this choice as well, so I'm gonna go with this one as well. Orlando versus Atlanta. I mean, this is a huge rivalry in MLS, has been for a few years now. Remember, this is a playoff rematch from last year when Orlando City knocked out Atlanta United in Orlando. So Atlanta's gonna be coming with it. They're gonna be super motivated, super pumped for that. And still trying to bounce back from that. But Atlanta's been struggling, the worst
Yeah.
start in franchise history. After all that money spent in Atlanta, they still jumped out to their worst start in franchise history. So it's going to be a very good match. It's a good rivalry. And this one, I'm going to be locked in on this one for sure.
I agree. And one of the reasons I'd show is that not just because of the rivalry, which you're dead on. I don't know. Atlanta might stink. And I want to see playing a
Mhm.
rival on the road. Not
Mm.
easy. Certainly Orlando is not an
Yeah.
easy task. But boy, if you're going to turn your season around, Atlanta, this will be a perfect time. Like this is an opportunity here. They got
Hmm.
9 points from 9. I mean, they might really kind of be bad. And I
Yeah.
want to see if they're bad. Now, you said all that money, all that talent, but again, they're kind of a classic example too, Mario, of why we always say MLS is way underrated. Like
Hmm.
people thought, well, Miguel Almiron's coming back. He's a little older, but he's coming from the Premier League. He's going to light it up just like he did before.
2 goals, I
Fine
think.
player, very good
Yeah.
player, right? Yeah, great player, but he's
Yeah.
not lighting it up since coming.
Yeah, just two
Like
goals from Almiron.
yeah,
That's it this year so
exactly.
far, and 9 points for that team out of 9 games. Unacceptable. They haven't won a road game yet in 2025. Got to do better than that. They're just struggling in
Well, and that's the thing.
Orlando.
But
Mhm.
that's why I say it's like MLS. When you look at Atlanta, Mario,
Yeah,
Lot, good signing,
yeah, he's doing
record-breaking
well.
signing. He's doing well.
He's doing well. Yeah.
But you bring in Alexei Maranchuk last season for big
Hmm.
money. just about every team in the world would have signed Alexi Miranchuk. I mean, it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, he's going to MLS. They're overpaying because it's MLS and they're not any good and he's no good anymore. He would have started at just about every team in Europe, for crying out loud. And don't give me he wouldn't have now or don't
Yeah,
give
this
me
is true.
that. I watch more
Yep.
football than you. I'm sorry, not you, Mario, but I mean, I'm sorry. Alexi
Yep.
Miranchuk would have been. He would have had many places to go. LA, yeah,
Mhm.
sure, maybe Atlanta paid a few more million to get him because maybe you had to or whatever to get him to come down. But he's not lighting it up. He's not
Yeah.
terrorizing MLS. He's a good player, but he's not terrorizing. Come on. And that's why I'm kind of wondering if maybe the whole situation there, maybe they're just not any good right now. And
Yeah.
maybe it's still deeper in a rebuild than we thought. Like we thought, and I fell prey to it too. I thought, oh, they're going to climb up the standings, look out. Maybe they'll come back, win this thing. Maybe they'll beat Miami and, yeah, it's not happening, I don't think. I
Yeah,
think I'm
for
wrong.
Atlanta, it's going to be tough to go into Orlando City and score on them because even though Orlando, they haven't scored a goal in their last 3 matches, they haven't conceded a goal in their last 3 matches. So they're playing very well defensively as well. So a
I don't
tough
want you to
matchup
watch it
for a
for a
struggling
0-0.
Atlanta.
Yeah, I didn't pick it
Yeah.
because I want it to be 0-0, which Orlando is, the O in Orlando actually is a 0 for both goals for and goals against lately. But the next one I really am intrigued by. Do you have another choice first? You want to go? You go first if you have another one. Or
I think we're going to go to the same one here. FC
oh, okay.
Cincinnati and Sporting
Yes,
KC. We talked about, yeah, that one. That's a good one too.
I
Go ahead, Dave.
one of the reasons because I wonder maybe if Sporting Kansas City's kind of turning a little bit of a corner here now. Yeah, maybe
Hmm.
they're getting like the new manager or kind of like the fired up kind of. We got rid of the other manager. He had to go. It was time. But you guys have some responsibility. Maybe the players are starting to realize Kerry Zavagnan's getting a lot out of them, right? And they're
Yep.
playing well, and they're open. They're attacking. This is a game you want to watch. It's not going to be 0-0. I can virtually guarantee that. FC Cincinnati is amazing.
Hmm.
Obvious reason to watch them. There's many. They're a very tough team. As much as people kind of think like, well, they've got some issues. They've been injured. They do this. They do that. They're right up there in the top of the. I mean, like they just win. And now they have Evander, certainly worth the price of admission even on his own. Although they've got plenty of help around him. This could be a very high scoring, very intriguing matchup here. And maybe Sporting Kansas City, if they can get a result on the road in Cincinnati, maybe they're turning a bit of a corner too.
Yeah, that's one of my contenders in the East for me. Cincinnati,
Oh, yeah.
FC Cincinnati. They've been playing well for years now. And again, this year, it looks like they're playing very well. One of the hottest teams in the entire league with 4 straight wins. Also, a treat for me to always watch Evander do his thing. I love to
Yeah.
watch him play. I love his passion. I love just his flavor that he has on the pitch. He's going to be leading this team in that match, going for their 5th straight win. And they're going to be at home too. Cincinnati's at home too, so they might be able to get that 5th straight win. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I agree. So those are the matchups we really love: Orlando versus Atlanta, FC
Hmm.
Cincinnati versus Sporting Kansas City. Intriguing matchups, certainly to keep an eye on. Most importantly, on Sunday, LAFC hosting St. Louis City at BMO Stadium. We'll have airtime at 3:30 for the pregame on ESPN LA, the app, and with kickoff, all the action also coming on 710 ESPN after the Lakers. I think we'll probably have the post game on the app again, right? We got Kings too. Like, holy cow! You mentioned
Yeah,
that. Like,
Kings. Yep.
wow. So we'll be on 710 ESPN if you're driving around or if you want to listen on the radio during the kickoff, match play and all that pre and post game. We'll be on the app, which will of course have the game as well. So all of that's going to be great. Mario, I'm so looking forward to it. Look, I'm not going to sit here and predict another goal from Olivier Giroud and Denis Bouanga both, but you know, I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but I'm saying that it's looking good. Let's just say that I got a good feeling. So
That's what I'm
it's going to
looking
be a
forward
fun one.
to. I'm looking forward to Olivier and Denis and see what they're going to do. And I expect big things from both. Now, Dave, in the history of this matchup, LAFC have not conceded a goal in 4 total matches
Oh yeah,
against St. Louis.
true. Yep.
Never conceded one goal. So can they extend that streak, this Sunday? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, let's start with a shutout, and then we'll move from there offensively and see what happens. I'll take my chances if we shut out St. Louis City. Let's get the 3 points and move along. Good stuff as always, Mario. LAFC Plus always flies by. Can't wait. Family Day, Kids Day, I should say, Sunday at BMO Stadium. Looking forward to
That's
that with
right.
Gio and you as well. Always a great time, Mario. Take us out of here, brother. Great talking to you.
Yeah, make sure you join us on the radio. There's Sunday, LAFC versus St. Louis. And if you don't join us there, then join us on the next episode of LAFC Plus. That's Dave Denholm. I'm Mario Ruiz. Peace.